Can you believe that we are in April? I can't actually get my head around the fact that it's April. This has been a super busy week, so I have been kind of all over the place, and this is now Saturday afternoon and I finally got a little bit of time to sit down and film a video. And it kind of just occurred to me that despite the fact that I talk about TV and films and all that all the time, I've never really done like a sort of like monthly recommendations or roundup sort of thing of what I've been watching. So I thought that I would do that today. So these are the films and TV shows that I have been watching through March 2015 and that I think you should be watching too. First on the list is The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix. The only way I can describe the show is that it is like sunshine in a TV shaped form. It is amazing. The show was created by Robert Carlock and Tina Fey, and so obviously Tina Fey is someone who I really love, and I love her writing and I love her approach to things, and so I thought that I would probably like it, but I didn't realise just how much I was going to fall in love with it. Kimmy has been part of a doomsday cult for the past 15 years. She's been kept in a bunker underground and told that the apocalypse has been and that the world has ended, and she and 3 other women have been trapped down there in Indiana for the past 15 years. Finally, she is rescued and set free, and she decides to move to New York and start her life in New York. It can't help but cheer you up because you watch it and everything about it is just bright and positive and funny, and Ellie Kemper, who plays Kimmy, is just fantastic. She was such a good choice for the role. The producers got in touch with the Songify This guys from YouTube, who I'll link down in the description box, to make the opening theme tune, and it is the catchiest thing. It will get stuck in your head for days, but it's worth it. Second show that I want to recommend is The American Office. I know that most people have probably watched this already, but I was really late on the bandwagon with this one and I started watching it last year, and it's just incredible. I'd gone through a little sort of lull because something happens in season 7, which I won't say just in case anyone who is watching this hasn't seen it. Something happens towards the end of season 7 that I was very upset about, and I had to take a little break. I had to take a step back and say I'm not going to watch this for a little while until I get over it. So I went back to it in March. I felt enough time had passed that I could go back to it, and it's just fantastic. Obviously it's based on the original version of The Office, the British version, which it sort of sticks quite closely to in the first season, and I have to say the first season is not the best, so if you watch it and you are halfway through season 1 and you think you're going to give up on it, please don't, because I can totally understand why you would feel that way, but just stick with it, because when you get into season 2 and it really finds its feet and comes into its own, it is fantastic. Third thing that I'm going to recommend for you to watch is Outlander. People have been raving about this show so much since it started. I think it started a year ago, but I didn't have access to the show until it got put up on Amazon Instant Video. The lovely folks over at Amazon actually got in touch to let me know that the show was finally coming to the UK, and they invited me to participate in a blogger call with a couple of the cast members, which was really cool. Also, I managed to successfully embarrass myself during it. If you want to know more about that, I wrote a blog post on it, so I'll link that in the description box for you to go and check out. I've watched the first 2 episodes of the show now, and honestly, it is just visually stunning. It is one of the most visually stunning shows I have seen in a really long time. The Scottish landscape obviously has a very special place in my heart, so maybe I'm slightly biased, but just everything about the way that this show is filmed is just insanely beautiful. The costumes are incredible. The way that they play around with the lighting just makes everything look just magical. It really does. If you're not aware of what Outlander is, it is based on a book series, and it tells the story of Claire. She's an English nurse in the Second World War, and when the war is over, she and her husband go on a second honeymoon up to Scotland, and during that time she finds herself magically transported from 1945 to 1743. Clearly a bit of a scary time for her, but I love anything time travel, remotely time travel related. I've discussed this before, it just gets me very excited. I love seeing someone transported from one world and just sort of dumped in another and seeing how they cope with it. The first 2 episodes have been so good, the acting is really strong, and because they do have a lot of Scottish actors in it, the accents weren't as upsetting as I feared that they would be, so it works. And yeah, it's excellent. So if you get the opportunity to watch it, I would definitely recommend it. Next, I'm going to give a very quick shout out to one of my favourite shows, Once Upon a Time. The writers just keep coming up with the best stuff. The past couple of episodes in particular have been excellent. If you've never watched Once Upon a Time before, it is a show in which we have 2 worlds. We have the magical world of lands like the Enchanted Forest and Neverland and all that, and then the real world, or the non-magical world, which is the world that you and I live in. And these kind of parallel universes, we have this bunch of characters in a town in Maine called Storybrooke, and when our main character, Emma, arrives in Storybrooke, she's tracked down by her long-lost son, and he takes her to Storybrooke and introduces her to all these characters. We slowly begin to discover that these characters are in fact fairy tale characters who, back in the Enchanted Forest land, were people like Snow White and Prince Charming and Belle and the Evil Queen and, you know, Rumpelstiltskin, whole host of exciting characters who are now trapped in our world, and just magical drama ensues. It's now in its 4th season and it has now been put up on UK Netflix, so if you have access to it, go and watch it, because this show just instantly cheers me up. It's like a little dose of just magical escapism, and the characters are incredible, the acting is so good. There are a couple of characters in particular who I have just completely fallen in love with. You know, if you've watched my Once Upon a Time related videos, my love for Captain Hook will never wane. But yeah, the whole cast is incredible, so if you're looking for something that is dramatic but in like a fun way, that you can watch something and get caught up in the sort of drama with it but it isn't heavy, watch Once Upon a Time, because it's just amazing. Obviously, if you read my blog or watch my channel, the past week or last week was pretty much dedicated to Pretty Little Liars. If you've not watched it, give it a shot. Please give it a shot. If you're not sure what Pretty Little Liars is about, it tells the story of 4 teenage girls who were part of a friendship group all brought together by one other girl who has gone missing. The girls start to receive threatening messages from someone going by the name A. They don't know who A is, and we spend 5 seasons of torment with them trying to figure out who A is, and A kind of taking over their lives. So it's very dramatic. You have to completely suspend all element of disbelief with this show, because if you spend too much time worrying about the fact that that could never happen, you won't get through an episode. So suspend all disbelief, sit down and prepare to be completely addicted within a very short period of time. And the final recommendation that I want to make for you from March is a film. Everything else has been TV, surprise, surprise. But please go and see Cinderella if you have the opportunity. Considering the fact that I've just ranted about my love for Once Upon a Time, I'm sure it will be clear that I was very excited to go and see Cinderella. Any excuse to get drawn into a magical fairy tale land for me, I'm on board with, and I just thought this film was beautiful. It was just a lovely dose of magical romantic escapism. Everything was beautiful, the acting was great. I thought Richard Madden was a fantastic prince. I do love that kind of getting lost in a magical world sort of thing, and this was just a perfect example of that. So I might do a full review of that at some point. I'm so behind this week. I haven't done my Once Upon a Time recap from the last episode, which incidentally was insanely good. So I have to catch up on that, and I don't have my video for Student Switchboard for Monday filmed yet, which is going to have to happen tomorrow. It's just been one of those weeks. But anyway, I am going to leave it there and go and edit this because it needs to go up tomorrow. So anyway, I really hope that you enjoyed this. I am probably going to try and make this maybe a monthly thing, or, you know, a regular thing over maybe bi-monthly or whatever, and just give you my recommendations for what I think that you should be watching. And I hope that you enjoyed that. So I hope you're having a lovely Easter weekend, and I will speak to you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye. Next is The 100. I started watching The 100 on E4 and I loved it. I thought that it was great, but in typical me style, I think we've been spoiled by things like binge watching on Netflix.